Yeah, it says starting recording.
Okay, good.
Will you be able to access it the same?
Yeah, that should be no problem. Narendra's doing that.
Okay.
No worries. Yep.
Simha's saying hello too.
Hello, Simha.
Simha. Wow.
He always likes to come when he hears your voice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Simha, the great lion, Krishna's lion. Okay, exciting. Gulshan's on the hot seat today. Not just me. That's good. Okay, let's begin by offering respect to the spiritual master. Om Nandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmanatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gulshan, would you like to read the English for that?
Born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisance unto him.
Okay. So we're continuing our reading of Bhagavad Gita.
As it is.
As it is. Yes, that's the main words. As it is. New chapter 7 entitled Knowledge of the Absolute. Which text is it, Gulshan?
3.
3, yes. Yes, very famous verse. Prabhupada spoke about this verse many times.
Is that the Bhakti Mala will do that 15-minute first, or what is that?
No. Well, she would like to do her one, text 4, next week.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you speak as long as you want, then I'll speak something and then we can all discuss like that. Okay. So that should take up the time, no problem. Let's see how it goes.
Okay. Manushyana sahastreshu Kashidhatati sadhyahe.
Okay, so we'll start.
I think we've lost him. Oh, Gulshan?
Yeah, I can hear it, but I lost Ave Prabhu.
Yeah. Oh, what happened?
I don't know.
He's still there because he's.
Yeah, but his picture was frozen.
Yeah. Maybe.
Wait for a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Simha's being really annoying. You know what he did last night, Gulshan?
Oh, he's disappeared now. Abed left.
Yeah, he
Okay.
Maybe
Well,
he'll come back.
you and me will start. Okay, I'll start again for the verse. Manushyana sahasreshu Shatitati siddhyate Yatatamapi siddhamam Tashnavetu tatvetata. Got it? Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved a perfection, hardly one knows me in truth.
I wonder if I should try and ring him again. Maybe he can't get back on.
Maybe he can't. Maybe that's why he was on the phone. Maybe he's not in the area.
I can just ring him. So I'm calling him now.
Sometimes, you and him both calling each other and the call doesn't go. It happens. I tried to call you, trying to call me.
It says I'm calling him.
Responding.
Just like, can you see these pictures?
No.
Like they're like, doesn't have internet type. Stop that. It says he's unavailable.
Oh, well.
Just want to go ahead.
You want me to go ahead with it? Okay. So we read the verse for Sanskrit. The English is, out of many thousand among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Okay. Here the Prabhupada saying that thousand people, they're trying. Endeavor means they are trying to, but very few out of thousand, maybe one, knows me in truth. It's like a what's the difference between human and animal? The first difference is that human knows I'm being, which animal doesn't. And the second question is what I am, which animal can't think of it. Is that correct? So God gave it a brain, but a lot of people, they just live their life like an animal. Eat, sleep, mate, defend. 99.6%. 2-3%, they just says, is that I'm here for? And means if I'm only there for just for my, body, senses and all that, I'm gonna make a house, this my car, and married and few kids, and have that bit of party, and then time to go when it's 80, 90. But few of them, they just question it. I think it's more than that. Means I didn't question it until 45 years. But after 45 years, I questioned that. I said, is it him for? Or is it something else? But why did I question after 45 years? I did not question from the day I born till 45 years. What's the reason? I reached to that. It's all come from association. I used to come to Bhakti Tray to distribute the dal. If you remember that, you won't remember, you maybe heard about it. You used to come there back in 2016? Okay. So I used to come here and distribute the dal. And Abe Jayanti was asking, who's this guy long here and let's come and distribute. So directly or indirectly, I was in the service. So then when I was doing, oh, Abe Prabhu is there.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. What happened?
I don't know. I think maybe there's a ghost in my computer or something. I don't know.
I rang you before and then it said you can't join, and then I rang you again.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we're here now, so let's see how long it lasts for. Let's make the most of it.
Okay. We already rang that Sanskrit and English.
Yep. Yep.
And I was just telling that, like, the Krishna says that among thousand of them, and one may be endeavor for perfection, like it's like a 99.7% people, they does not really think that way. And how come there's only 1 or 2% trying to endeavor, means practicing that and reach to the perfection? And it's same like I just think in my theory, when I born till the age of 45, I was not thinking. I was just eating, sleeping, mating, defending, just like animal. But what happened after 45? Why did I come here? What went change my mind or things like that? Then I was telling Bhaktimala, I used to come and distribute the dal here back in 2016.
Mm.
So association makes a difference. Whether I was distributing the dal consciously or unconsciously, I was still in the service,
Mm.
okay, to the Krishna.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it makes me the association with you, with Jayanti and other people, and hearing the chanting on the Friday evening make me to think that, am I here for just for reason, just the sleeping, mating, defend, or eating, or it's something else more than in the life? And start thinking or questioning that. Means the animal can't question why we are here, but a
Yeah.
human can. I mean,
Yeah.
first thing first, we say
Mm.
we been here. I'm been here.
Mm.
Animal can't question it. I'm been here. They come
Yeah.
and go. That
Mm.
so then it's all start from that association.
Mm.
Association makes that slowly
Mm.
started wakening up. What happening here? And
Mm.
then well, there is something more. Whatever I was doing in 45 years, there is some
Mm.
more in the life. What more is that? Then as I talked to you and the Kale Prabhu came one day, was sitting outside and he was talking about when did they purchase the building and all these things. And then I was listening there very carefully. Yeah, I remember that. He used to come that in Liverpool. I was watching from there for Rath Yatra. But that time as well, I didn't know that. I was Karmi. You know Karmi? Karmi
Yeah.
people. Yeah, I was Karmi back in those days. So association makes a difference and I slowly start turning this way. And then reading the book for Prabhupada, that's Science of Self-Realization. It's a science. You can do it and then you will see the results. Don't believe me, whatever I'm saying, because whatever I'm saying, it's my truth. It's not your truth. You got to do your own. You cannot borrow someone's experience. So
Yeah.
it's a simple science. You
Mm.
do Maha Mantra, you'll see the results.
Mm.
If you don't find the results, leave it.
Mm.
And I did it and I got the result. And then I'm just getting more and more, trying to get the higher taste.
Mm.
So getting taste, oh my God, this is. And last night, I was just telling about you, I dream about it. I'm cooking the prasadam, okay? And while cooking that, there's a cow and then calf came
Mm.
to my kitchen. And I said,
Yeah.
I can't give you now because the first prasad not fully cooked and it hasn't been offered to Krishna. And then I was thinking, you come in here, it's not fully cooked yet. I'm cooking, and first thing first, I'm going to offer the Krishna. I can't give you. And at the same time, and then they were saying, moo. And I said, yeah. And I'm confused. And then I said, how don't you understand that I haven't offered to Krishna yet? And then the calf was looking in very loving eyes, and I just wake up.
Okay.
There was the dream. It was 4:30 as
Yeah.
a dream. So it's all
Wow.
it's
Okay.
all comes to like that, and I've got no idea where is that dream come from. But anyway, so I went there today to because the Ekadashi. So I went to buy a paneer and a buckwheat flour and make some pakoras for Jagannath and the sweet lassi. So I said, well, that's for Jagannath. They are cooking something as well. So I really feel like I'm gonna cook some buckwheat pakora and sweet lassi.
Yeah.
So it's like that. It's all association makes a difference, and you start thinking and you moving towards, and then this is the higher taste, and then you leave everything behind. You don't really leave that. Should I have to stop eating meat, or should I have stopped doing this? It's just happening slowly. You won't even notice.
Mm.
So that is the whole thing there, association, and then maybe it takes like how many lifetimes to become to understand Krishna and all that. But as long as you're on the path, time is no limit. It might take a one life or maybe take a million years, but as long as I know, yes, this is the path. That's it. I'm done. All I gotta do my job, chanting, reading the books, and the rest up to Krishna. I mean, so I'm a student in the class, just giving that a paper full of the answers. Krishna is the one marking. Whenever he wants to mark, he give me 10 out of 10 or 2 out of 10, 6 out of 10. It's not in my control. Results, I don't know. All I'm going to do that, just whatever Prabhupada say, just follow. Just follow the Gaudiya Vaishya Sampradaya. There's a 4 Sampradaya. One Sampradaya I follow. I just keep following. And my wish is that until my last breath, I just keep follow that, and then will depart this body, and well, that's what I was thinking. Well, my time is up. I don't want to continue more.
Hey, come on.
No. That's the only thing.
Very good.
I don't know if you understand or not, but I do understand.
No,
Because
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, the importance of associating with devotees.
That's the main.
Which can awaken our Krishna consciousness. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you know what, Krishna will make the path. Like I sold my cafe. After me, there was 3 more people trying to sell the cafe, hasn't sold it, they shut down. And mine been sold. I didn't even advertise. I did not advertise. I said to head office, I don't have a time. I'm doing my chemo. I may not be live another 6 months or a year. I don't have a time to advertise. I want to shut down. And someone come from Tari and he purchased it.
Yeah.
And then see how Krishna did the arrangement. Everything.
Yeah, because you wanted to serve Krishna, so Krishna helped you to,
And then,
clean up all your material loose
yeah,
ends.
you used to say that, and I said to Prabhuji, you don't understand. This is a franchise business. I can't just shut the door like that. But you said Krishna will do arrangement.
Yeah,
he did. So it's
it,
simple.
it reminds me of one guy. He's a friend of mine here in New Zealand, Indian family, and he was struggling to find a proper job, so he ended up getting a job in a supermarket, and he hated it, and it brought him to the point where he was physically became sick because he had to handle meat. And coming from his background, he knew it was wrong to be handling meat and stuff. So he became physically sick, and he said what to do. He didn't like doing it, but he had to bring in some money to pay the bills for his family. So I said, you continue the work, but at the same time you pray to Krishna to please help me to find a more conducive work to my spiritual life, Krishna consciousness. Please help me. So within a couple of weeks, after that, he got back to me and said, hey, Abai, this is the most amazing thing happened. I found a job in an insurance company. So, which was fantastic, because he didn't have to deal with any of the 4, sinful activities or anything like that. So it's a pretty honest, clean sort of job. And he just felt so much better, and his health improved and everything like that. Huh? How did he get it? Jayanti's asking, how did he get it? Well, I mean, he was praying. Yeah, that's what I was asking him to do, to pray to Krishna to help you. And it looks like Krishna did, so it came very easily.
If you didn't get anything which you are asking for it, it means answer is no. Krishna doesn't want you to have it because it's not necessary for you, because Krishna knows. I mean, if I don't have a second wife, because Krishna knows that it's not for you, that's why I didn't get it. If Krishna thinks that I should, I would.
Yeah.
So it's if even if I'm trying and if I don't get it, means answer is no. You gotta understand. If Krishna wants it, he will arrange it. If you're not getting, it means Krishna thinks that it's no need for you for these things. So I just accept as it is. Okay, whatever I can get, half a bread, 1 bread, 2 bread, or no bread. It's just like if I don't get any bread, it means Krishna wants me to clean my liver. That's why he did not arrange any bread for me. It's because it's good for my health.
Yes, correct.
It's all that. Everything is, how did he arrange everything in there? Beautiful.
So what are the 2 main points this translation, this verse, is telling us? What 2 things can we learn from this verse?
It's like an endeavor. You keep practicing there for that one to reach to the perfection thing there.
Well, I mean, everyone in the material is endeavoring. I mean,
but then endeavoring is
like Bhakti Mala was talking to me about the verse 4:18, talking about karma, actions. So I mean, everyone's doing some actions. It's just a matter of who are you acting for? Are you acting are you acting for your own enjoyment, for your own satisfaction, or you're acting for Krishna's enjoyment? But everyone's endeavoring, everyone's acting, because action or karma means endeavor. So, there's no question whether you're endeavoring or not endeavoring. It's just a matter of what are you endeavoring for. So what this verse is saying, people endeavoring or acting for self-realization, that's very rare, because most people, what are they endeavoring for? They're endeavoring for a sense gratification. So it's either you're endeavoring for sense gratification, sex, drugs, rock and roll, eat, drink, and be merry. That's an endeavor too, or you're endeavoring for self-realization. So, and people endeavoring for self-realization is very rare in the material world. Why is that? Why is it so rare that people endeavoring for self-realization, to try to make their life perfect? So that's perfection, is self-realization, is spiritual realization.
Yeah, and because there's is mentioned in the Gita, the 4 kind of people coming to Krishna consciousness. I'm the one with the sickness one, those who get sick.
In distress, yeah.
Yeah, and you are the one is the finding truth.
I don't know, I came in distress too.
Yeah, nah, because
and I was inquisitive also. I definitely wasn't coming to
inquisitive / truth.
I definitely wasn't looking for wealth. I think it's a mixture of distress and inquisitive.
For you, inquisitive, I can understand, because Westerner, they're inquisitive. Indian inquisitive doesn't really, because we're born with it. Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, we see in little temple at home. There's no inquisitive in us. We came either for the health or material.
Yeah. And I remember the first time I met a Hare Krishna on a farm, I was working on a woofing farm. And he was just so happy and peaceful, knowledgeable. And I was really curious. Why is he so happy? I'm not happy. And I have all the material things. Why am I not? Why is he so happy? What's the cause of his happiness? I want to find out what it is, and so I can also become happy. And he was so peaceful and everything. Why is he so peaceful? I'm so stressed out. Why is he so peaceful? Why is he so happy? So yeah, definitely I was inquisitive and also in distress. Yeah. So, but the question, back to the question again, why is it so rare that people are endeavoring for perfection?
Because they are too busy for sense gratification. They don't see more than that, more than body. They can't see that. And then again, if you're sitting in the pub and you are discussing about Bhagavad Gita, nobody will listen. If you're discussing a Bhagavad Gita in the temple, you will gain something.
Yeah.
Depends what's your association.
So we're covered by different degrees of ignorance and lust and...
Yeah. It relates to also, why are we in the material world? In the first
because we that we feel like equal to God. That's why he says,
we want to be God. We want to enjoy. We want to enjoy. We want to be the center. We want to control.
That's
we want to enjoy. We want to control like God. So it's understandable that not many people are going to want to go back to the spiritual world, because we were in the spiritual world. We left there because we wanted to have a world that we can be God in, that we can control and enjoy. So it's quite understandable that not many people really care about self-realization, perfection. And we should explain too, what does it mean here by the word perfection? What does it mean? What is perfection? What's the real standard of perfection?
Perfection is that like a
because some people would say perfection would be to have $1 million, but another person would say perfection is would be to have $1 billion, or perfection
Krishna will give you a green. When the Krishna will say green light and perfection, that's a perfection.
Okay. That Krishna gives you a green light.
Yeah, I mean that's a perfection.
Progress.
I mean,
go forward.
Knowing who Krishna is and knowing who we are, I don't know, that's pretty basic.
No, yeah. No, but you see, that comes next after that, because it's saying, even those that have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So do you understand that? See, you're saying perfection means to know Krishna, but it's saying here, even if you've achieved perfection, hardly one out of thousands of those. See, out of thousands of persons, hardly one will endeavor for perfection. And of those that have achieved perfection, so one out of thousands endeavors for it, and out of all those rare people that endeavor for it, a few people actually achieve perfection, and out of those few people that achieve perfection, hardly any of those actually know Krishna in truth. So there's a difference between this definition of perfection and knowing Krishna. So perfection is not about Krishna consciousness. It's not about Krishna consciousness, this perfection. It's something else. So in many places, Prabhupada talks about perfection is to get free from suffering. Perfection means to get free from suffering. What is suffering? That we're in this material body, the soul is in this material body, and we have to go through four things, as you know. Four main kinds of suffering: birth, old age, disease, and death. Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi. So perfection means to get out of the cycle of birth and death, to be liberated. So perfection is to get, Prabhupada talks about in many places, perfection of the human life is to get liberated, or which means freed from the cycle of birth and death, free from suffering. And so...
But that free from suffering will come only if you have knowledge, right?
So Johnny is saying free from suffering will only come if you have knowledge. Yes, but getting free from the cycle of birth and death, it's not that everyone that's free from the cycle of birth and death knows Krishna. What are some other options? What are some other than knowing Krishna and getting free from the cycle of birth and death by knowing Krishna? What are some other ways you could have got free from the cycle of birth and death without knowing Krishna?
How can you know without knowing Krishna? You can, like, a lot of people reach to the perfection, and then out of that, only few they say that.
So it's saying out of those that have got free from the cycle of birth and death, hardly one of those knows Krishna.
So it means those who have reached the perfection, they don't.
What are those other people that don't know Krishna but are free from the cycle of birth and death? How did they get there? Yeah, Jayanti said the Gyanis. So like the impersonalists, they've realized they're not the body. They've realized that they're a spirit soul. Aham Brahmasmi, it's called. Aham Brahmasmi, I am a spiritual being, I'm not the body. So they've realized that, but they haven't realized that the soul is a servant of Krishna. They haven't got that far.
So those who are, I think those who are Mayavadi.
Yeah, so they're the Mayavadis, the impersonalists, the Gyanis, the mental speculators. They've detached themselves from sense gratification with knowledge. So they have some knowledge and they've detached themselves from sense gratification. They've given up sinful activities. And therefore, because they've given up sinful activities, they don't have any karma. So they're not going to, get another material body because they've stopped the acting and sense gratification. But because they haven't realized Krishna, so they're not going to go to Krishna's planet in the spiritual world, but they may merge into the spiritual light. So in there, you're free from suffering. That's perfection. In one sense, that's perfection. Also, to be liberated from the material world, and you enter into the spiritual light and free from suffering there. But then even more than that, as it's saying here, if one can go even more further than that, and that's to know Krishna in truth. And that's even greater than liberation. Even greater than liberation from suffering is engaging in bhakti. Bhakti is said to be even more higher than moksha. More higher than moksha is the Sanskrit word for liberation. So even greater than moksha. It's said there's four goals of human life: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. That means religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and then liberation, which is what it's talking about here. Perfection is liberation. But then
Give an
Lord Chaitanya
example.
said,
Please give an example that any of the, like, who was in the bhakti, like any like relate to that, like any great sage, those who are in the bhakti.
those are in the bhakti, well, like
Yeah.
Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva
Oh,
Maharaj, you know, the Pandavas, you know, there's so many examples.
They are the pure bhakti.
All the gurus and the paramparas and all the four Vaishnava sampradayas, they're all bhaktas. You know, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Nimbakacharya, Vishnu Swami, you
And
know, so many. Lord Brahma is a devotee, his disciple, Narada Muni is a devotee, his disciple Vyasadeva, who compiled the Vedas, is a devotee, you know, so that's Shukadeva Goswami.
What's the bhava for that Krishna and Gopi? That's the bhakti as well, or they are different than bhakti?
No, it's all bhakti. It's all
They're also
different kinds of relationships one has with Krishna, but it's all bhakti. The main thing is that if our central relationship is with Krishna, then you're known as a devotee. You know, you're devoted to. Let's try to, you know, we can see here what it means to be a devotee in the 18th chapter. It's number 65.
Which one? 60?
18th chapter 65.
Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend.
So these are the characteristics of a devotee, of a surrendered soul. They're always thinking of Krishna, always thinking of God, and they're devoted to God. They love God, and they're worshipping Krishna, and they're bowing down to Krishna. They're always offering obeisances and homage to Krishna, bowing down to him. And Krishna says, if you do those four things, then you're going to come back home, back to Godhead. You're going to be living with Krishna. Krishna's going to take you back to Godhead if you do those four things. So there's so many different kinds of devotees, but if they're doing those things, they can go back to Krishna. But there's different relationships, like you mentioned, gopis. So that's a particular relationship called Madhurya Rasa, or another name Shringar Rasa. So that's conjugal loving relationships. So the gopis have a conjugal loving relationship with Krishna. And another example of that, Madhurya Rasa, is the Krishna's queens that he married in Dwarka, 16,108 queens. So that's also Madhurya Rasa. So there's two kinds. We talked about this last Saturday with Narendra. There's two kinds of Madhurya Rasa. There's outside of marriage and inside of marriage. So outside of marriage is called Parakiya Rasa, and inside of marriage is called Swakiya, like that. So his relationship with the queens, that's within marriage. So, and then with the gopis is outside of marriage. So that's conjugal relationships. And then you have Vatsalya Rasa. That's another kind of relationship where the Lord becomes your child. So that's like Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, Devaki, Vasudeva. All the parents in Vrindavan, they all had that parental relationship with Krishna. Even if Krishna wasn't their child, but they still had that relationship, like feeling like they were the mother, they were the father of Krishna. That's why Krishna would go to their houses of all the gopis and gopas and steal their butter, just to connect with them in that relationship. And then there's Sakyaras, friendly relationship, like Arjuna, like that. Or in Vrindavan, there's many cowherd boys the same age as Krishna, and they have very friendly relationship there, and they're playing the whole day long with the cows and everything like that, playing games and everything like that. And they have piggyback rides and things like that, and all kinds of fun games, and it's really ecstatic friendship they have with Krishna. And then there's Dasyaras, so servitude. So like Krishna has a chariot driver. So he's like he's Krishna's his master, and he's the servant like that. Or with Lord Ram, there's Hanuman as the servant of Lord Ram, like that.
So
So
the
second
As
Lord-
will be like a Dasya Rasa.
what's that?
As is like a Dasya Rasa. That's what Prabhupada says. We are Das.
Well, everyone is Das, yeah, yeah. So even if you're the lover of Krishna, you still have that mood that you're the servant. But then there's more. There's more like that. Even if you're the parent of Krishna, you still feel that you're the servant. You know, you're the friend of Krishna. You still feel that you're a servant. So whatever the relationship, that mood of wanting to serve Krishna is there. But if you go to the higher relationships higher than Dasya, then there's a bit more. Then there's a bit more than that mood of service. Then there's more flavors added there. And those flavors make it more sweeter, make the relationship more sweeter. That's why Madhurya Ras, conjugal love called Madhurya Ras, Madhurya means sweet. That's very sweet. Very sweet relationship. And what's so special about, because Lord Chaitanya said that the greatest example of a devotees are the gopis of Vrindavan. They're the greatest devotees, are the gopis. So what makes them the greatest devotees?
Because their attraction was like unconditional.
That's good.
It's because I remember that there was a one-time story. It's mentioned in Bhagavatam there. One day that Krishna has got a headache, and then they says we need that that dust of the feet of the for the gopas, and nobody gave that, and they went to the gopis. They said, take it, take it, take it. He saw some of the brahmana and also said that we might be going to hell. And the gopi does not think about the hell or heaven.
Yeah.
All their unconditional
So they're
love, like
unconditionally serving Krishna, no consideration about their own happiness, nothing at all.
no result, no happiness, nothing. Doesn't
Only
even care for the
thinking about pleasing Krishna.
That's it.
I mean, they sacrificed everything for Krishna. They sacrificed even the Vedic rules.
Yeah,
they broke
even
the Vedic
their
rules.
own children,
They
they
broke
are
the social customs.
yes.
Loka dharma, Veda dharma, Deha dharma, karma, Lajadarya Deha, Sukha, Atma Sukha, Mama. There's a beautiful verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about the gopis, how they sacrificed everything for Krishna. They sacrificed, they gave up the Vedic injunctions, they gave up the social customs, they gave up all desires for their own physical happiness, they gave up even desires for their spiritual happiness, like this, liberation and moksha.
Yeah.
They didn't care about that.
They don't care.
They risked being beaten by family members.
Yes.
Vedic culture, if a woman leaves the house of the parent or the husband, they could get a thrashing, if they leave the house at night, especially, without permission like that.
They don't care about the results.
Yeah, and they gave up their womanly shyness and bashfulness. So there's a natural qualities of a woman is to be shy and bashful like that. So they gave up that, and why did they give up all these things? Just to please Krishna, just to serve Krishna. Krishna was calling them, come here and serve me.
Yeah.
And Krishna was and they gave up everything. It said that they even put down their child if they were breastfeeding the child. They put down their child.
Even does not look what's
the
here
cooking,
and the clothes and all everything just
the
run.
clothes. If they were getting dressed, they just
Yeah.
quickly just ran, and even half dressed or
It's
upside
kind of
down.
a hypnotizing thing.
Yeah, so fully surrendered to Krishna.
Yes.
And gave up everything, and that's the next verse 66 in this 18th chapter. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So that's the greatest example of surrender. Are the gopis? They abandon everything. So that's the verse after the one we just read.
If you're talking about love, there'll be like if you define love in one word, I would say Krishna. There's no other definition for love in this world. If anyone will say just one word, Krishna, because they're the love with the gopis, I don't think so anyone ever will have, exceed that level of love from gopis to Krishna. Never have, never will. That is unconditional, beautiful.
There's the name Radha. The name Radha comes from the Sanskrit word aradhana, which means worshipper. So she's the best worshipper of Krishna, Radharani. She worships Krishna better than anyone else. She serves Krishna better than anyone else. She's the internal pleasure potency of Krishna. So she's non-different from Krishna. She's Krishna's own internal pleasure potency. And actually, the whole process of devotional service of bhakti is her energy. It's her energy. So all these 9 processes of devotional service, it's all the manifestation from Radharani, from her. It's all originated from her. This hearing and chanting and remembering and worshipping and offering prayers and all these services, it's all under her control. She's the source. She's the ultimate perfection of all these services she's doing, and it's all under her control. So she's also known as Bhakti Devi. Bhakti Devi. She's the goddess, the controller of Bhakti.
Bhakti Mala, you getting there? Very close. Bhakti Mala, Bhakti Devi. You're almost there. You're among thousands of them perfectionists. You're getting there. Hold on to it.
Yeah, it's so rare. It's so rare that someone tries to get liberated from the material world. Actually, nearly everyone, 99.99% of people in the material world, they're attached to the material world. They want to stay in the material world. Prabhupada pointed out even one time some Russian astronauts were up in space in their Sputnik, and they looked back to the Earth. What were they looking for? You know what they were looking for? What were they trying to see on the Earth? They were Russians, and they were up in space. And what were they looking for? Prabhupada said, "Where is my Moscow? Where is my Moscow?" So they are looking back towards Russia. I mean, they've left the Earth, but still they're so attached. They're so attached, and they're just looking back where to find Moscow, where to find Russia. So everyone's attached.
It's the same.
If you said, oh, you can go to the moon, and people think, yeah, that'd be so cool. Let's go to the moon for a visit, but they wouldn't want to stay there. If you said, oh, you go to the moon, you can't come back to the Earth, I bet you there'd be no volunteers.
No.
Everyone's so attached. Everyone's so attached to the body, so attached to their country, so attached to their family members. Even like the Jehovah's, right? I asked them one time, what's the essence of your philosophy? They said God was going to come, there'll be an Armageddon, he'll kill all the non-Jehovah's, and he's going to make them all live forever on the earth with their families. So that was the perfection. Their idea of perfection was that they're going to live forever on the earth with their families. God will get, they don't know about Krishna, but God will give them, some kind of body that can live forever, and their old grandma can live forever, and their handicapped brother can live forever, and their whatever.
You know what? How unlucky would be if somebody will say you have to live forever. How boring that would be. You couldn't able to die. I don't think so. Anyone will be happy.
Only devotees are going to think like that, but the non-devotees they're all trying to cling on to life, and want to enjoy in this material world. So that's why it's so rare that one wants to get out of the material world, because that's why we're here. We came here with a desire to enjoy this world, not to want to get out of it. We came here with that desire. Of course, what happens is that you keep trying to enjoy, and what's the result?
Every time come back again.
What's the result?
They come back again.
No, I mean, you try to, come back again, but you try to enjoy sense gratification, but what's the actual result? Do you actually enjoy?
Not really. It's never end. It just
What's the result we normally get?
unsuccessful.
Yeah, suffering. So you
suffering.
try to enjoy and you suffer. You try to enjoy and you suffer. You try to enjoy and it goes on and on and on. And if you keep repeating that again and again and again, what do you think might happen? What could be the outcome of that? You try to enjoy and you suffer, and then you try to enjoy again and you suffer again, and you try to enjoy again and you suffer again. What could eventually happen after repeating that cycle again and 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 again?
It makes you to think what I'm doing. Why?
Yeah, so what can happen is two things. One is that one gets frustrated, materially frustrated. It's very frustrating, this process, trying to enjoy and then suffer.
Tired.
And then exhausted. Yeah, tired.
Exhausted.
So then you get materially exhausted. And then that can be a springboard to then want to get out of this world. So therefore, some people, this rare persons that endeavor for perfection, are those that originally they were trying to enjoy, like everyone. They were trying to enjoy in this world through the senses, but then they've suffered, and then they tried to enjoy and they've suffered. They tried to enjoy and suffered, and eventually, what happens? They've become frustrated, exhausted, and then they've started to question, why am I here? Why am I suffering? Is there a way out? So they become like jnanis. So, they're looking for ways out of the material world to escape suffering. And then only 1 out of thousands of those actually achieves this liberation, freedom from the cycle of birth and death. And out of thousands of those, then hardly one, it's saying here, knows Krishna in truth. So bhakti is even more rare than moksha. So devotional service is far more rare than liberation. And it said that Krishna, he is the giver of liberation. That's why one of Krishna's names is Mukunda. Mukunda, one of Krishna's names, Mukunda. That means muk from mukti. So that means liberation. And da means to give. So he's the one that gives the person freedom from the material world. If you want to get out of the material world, the only person that can let you out, who's got the key?
Krishna.
Krishna has the key. Krishna can let you out of the prison. Only Krishna can let you out. Shiva doesn't have that name, Mukunda. Lord Brahma doesn't have that name. Durga doesn't have that name. Only Krishna has that name, the giver of liberation. So it said that quite easily Krishna can award someone liberation. It's not difficult for Krishna to do that. But it's very rare that Krishna gives someone pure devotional service, pure bhakti. So then the question is, why is that? Why Krishna very rarely gives the pure bhakti? That's the question.
He's controlled by
Yeah, very good, Bhakti Mala. Well done. He's controlled by it. That's mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion, the 6 characteristics of pure devotional service. That's the last one. That it's the only means of controlling Krishna. We know that Krishna, of course, is the supreme controller, but interestingly, even though Krishna is the supreme controller, he's controlled by bhakti. And bhakti means love. So he's controlled by love. What are some examples of a devotee controlling Krishna? In Krishna's pastimes, what are some examples where we see devotees were able to control Krishna? If you look at the front cover of the Bhagavad Gita, you'll see one.
Oh yeah, that Arjuna.
Yeah, like the very first verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna's telling Krishna, you drive my chariot in the middle of the battlefield. Senior ubia madhya. Let's look at that. Let's look at that. Oh, it's not the first verse. Maybe it's the second verse or so. Is it saying that? See, when does Arjuna start saying? Senior. Here it is. Yeah, 21. First chapter, text 21.
Arjuna said, "Oh, inflammable one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in the great trial of arms."
Yeah, so here Arjuna is giving directions to Krishna. You drive my chariot in the middle of the battlefield. So Krishna is saying, okay, yeah, I'll do that. So he's taking instruction, direction from Arjuna. And that's because Arjuna is his pure devotee. Therefore, Krishna is influenced or controlled by Arjuna. Another good example, which will be coming up to Kartik soon, right? So what's the song we sing every day in Kartik? Is Mother Yashoda tying up Krishna. So she tied him up with ropes.
Yeah.
So that song's telling us that Krishna's controlled by love, and in the form of ropes in that pastime. But it's actually, he's not just controlled by the ropes. He's really controlled by love. The only reason why she can put those ropes around him is because of her love. So he's controlled by the love of his devotee. So, and also Radharani. Sometimes Radharani gets upset with Krishna. It's called man. And then Krishna has to bow down at her feet and massage Radharani's feet and I'm sorry, like that. And, try to pacify her and please her again.
And one of his friend Sudama.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so he went there to see that. So it's like that the people there outside, they were saying like, it's a poor Brahman and he's got like, the ripped dhoti, and then his name, when he says Sudama, the Krishna only listens Su and he ran. Didn't even whole world he has to say that and run to the door because it's my friend. He's coming there. So because of the love.
Yeah, and Krishna put Sudama on his throne. Put him on his throne and worshipped him.
Worship, because he was a Brahman.
Krishna was worshipping Sudama. And everyone was shocked that, everyone's worshipping Krishna, that Krishna's worshipping his devotee. And he worshipped him with incense. And just like we worship Krishna on the altar, but Krishna put his devotee on the altar. And he was the pujari. Krishna was the pujari and worshipping his devotee. And that's right. Love, so much love. It controls Krishna. So why is it so rare that he gives someone bhakti? Because it controls Krishna completely, becomes like a puppet in their hands. So he doesn't want to give that power to the wrong person. You don't want to give that much power to control God to someone that's not qualified. So Krishna is very careful, before he awards that topmost perfection of bhakti to someone, because it completely controls him, So Krishna doesn't give that bhakti to Kamsa or Jarasandha.
No.
Some evil person. You're not going to give him that power of bhakti. Bhakti is so powerful.
For the Rama, it was totally different. He was it's the character and things like that. They do bhakti for Rama as well. So he went to Lanka and then killed the Ravana and bring the Sita back. But it's a different way, where the love and things there, which is not in the Rama.
There's a lot of bhakti in those pastimes with Rama too. There's bhakti is there also,
but a different form.
But yeah, with Krishna, it's more sweeter. Like in Vrindavan, the Vrindavan Leela, there's no pastimes of any other incarnation, not Nrsingadev or Varaha or Kurma, Rama. That's as sweet. But
Yes.
bhakti is in all of those, in all of the different incarnations. There'll be some loving devotees there. And the Lord is never alone, so he's always surrounded by loving devotees. So even in Vaikuntha, Lord Narayan has many loving devotees there, serving him with great love. But they're all in the mood of Dasyaras.
Dasya.
Because Lord Narayan doesn't have equals, means friends. He doesn't have parents. And he doesn't have lovers, I mean, except for Lakshmi. So he has his wife, Lakshmi. But he doesn't have no other relationships there, or they're all servants, all industrious. But Krishna has so many flavors of relationships you can have with Krishna. Very sweet flavors. Okay, let's read the purport.
Yep.
Verse 7:3.
There are various grades of men, and out of many thousand, one may be sufficiently interested in transcendental realization to try to know what is the self, what is the body, and what is the absolute truth. Generally, mankind is simply engaged in animal potencies named eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, and hardly anyone is interested in transcendental knowledge. The first six chapter of the Bhagavad Gita are meant for those who are interested in transcendental knowledge, in understanding the self, the super self, and the process of realization by Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and discrimination of a self from matter. However, Krishna can be known only by persons who are in Krishna consciousness. Other transcendentalists may achieve impersonal Brahman realization. For this, it's easier than understanding Krishna. Krishna is the supreme person, but at the same time, he is beyond knowledge of Brahman and Paramatma. The yogis and jnanis are confused in this attempt to understand Krishna. Although the greatest of impersonalists, Sripada Shankaracharya, has admitted in his Gita commentary that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. His followers do not accept Krishna as such, for it is very difficult to know Krishna even though one has transcendental realization of impersonal Brahman. You want to continue reading?
Yeah, does anyone have any comments about that or questions? Does that make sense, or you want to say something about that? Anyone?
No, it's all good. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The cause of...
Bhakti Mala will try to read.
Okay. Bhakti,
Bhakti Mala.
bhakti.mala.com.au.
This Sri Pada Sankara.
Oh, okay, good question. Good question. So he was the founder of the impersonalists, of the Mayavadis. So he founded that society of the impersonalists. He's actually an incarnation of Lord Shiva, surprisingly. So, and Shiva, of course, is a devotee. So if Shiva's a devotee, how is it that his incarnation as Shankaracharya was promoting that the Brahma Jyoti is the supreme, not Krishna, and that Krishna is just a... Well, actually, he didn't say Krishna was an ordinary person. I mean, it's mentioned. He mentions in some places that Narayan is the supreme, but his followers have taken it from him that worshipping the energy, the all-pervading energy, that is the supreme. Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. So they say that the supreme truth is the all-pervading spiritual light, the Brahma Jyoti, and that everything in the material world is false. Everything in the material world is false. So he was promoting this impersonal philosophy of just energy. So most of his preaching was just about the spiritual energy that is the real thing, and that everything in the material world is Maya, is an illusion, it's false. And he was actually told to preach like that. He was told don't preach about Krishna consciousness, but preach about the energy of the Lord, by Lord Narayan. So Lord Narayan, or Krishna's expansion, told him that I want you to appear in Kali Yuga and preach this Mayavad philosophy. And so why is that? Why was he asked to teach Mayavad philosophy? Well, we have to see a bit of background that, yeah, so Jayati said because of Buddha. So before Shankaracharya appeared, Buddha had appeared. It's about 2,500 years ago. And Buddha, why did Buddha appear? Buddha appeared because a lot of people were seeing that the Vedas was recommending animal sacrifices. So, but they were taking it that sacrifice the animal and then eat it. But actually the Vedic sacrifice weren't meant for eating the animal. They were testing the power of the mantras. So the animal would be killed in the sacrifice in different ways, and then they would bring it back to life. They'd bring it back to life. I just actually heard today, Prabhupada was saying that the animal would be burnt, put in the fire of the sacrifice, and then they would chant, the Brahmanas would chant the mantras, and it would come back to life. In other sacrifices, I mean, they may chop the head off of the animal and do different things like that. So, but in any case, however they killed them, but then they would be brought back to life by the mantra. But in Kali Yuga, what happened, the change that took place was that the Brahmanas weren't so pure anymore. So they didn't have the purity to bring the animal back to life. They couldn't chant the mantras properly, and they didn't have the personal purity. So the animal would be killed and it wouldn't come back to life, and then they would just eat it. So then Buddha appeared to stop all that killing. So the main principle Buddha taught was non-violence, ahimsa. But to get them to be a decent human being and be non-violent in that, he had to take people away from the Vedas, because it was within the Vedas the animal sacrifices were mentioned in the Vedas. So he had to bring people away from the Vedas. So, but bringing people away from the Vedas, it's making people sort of atheistic. But his purpose was to, like I said, stop people from being violent. So he wanted to teach people to be a decent human being. So that's what he taught, a lot of those kind of principles, basic human principles, to be clean and honest and truthful and those kind of things, be a good person. But at the same time, he'd taken them away from the Vedas, which teaches about spiritual life and everything like that, about God. So he'd stopped people killing, but he'd taken people away from God to do that. So then Shankaracharya appeared, or Shiva appeared, to bring people back to an understanding of God. So building on top of that basic principle that, not killing. Because as long as people are killing animals, they can't make any progress in spiritual life. So step one was to get people stop killing. And then step two was to bring people back to God. But you can't bring someone from that lowest level of being an atheistic person straight away to understanding God as a blue boy named Krishna. He plays a flute and everything like that. So the first step was to bring them back to there is all-pervading spiritual energy. This is God. There's an all-pervading spiritual energy. So Shankaracharya did that. So, but then the next step was to bring God has a personality. So then the Vaishnavacharyas came after him, Ramanujacharya, then Madhvacharya, and they all added on a bit more knowledge, a bit more philosophy, that God has a personality, a spiritual personality, which is eternal and all this kind of stuff. So that was Shankaracharya. So even though he was the greatest, as mentioned here, the greatest of the impersonalists, but that he also admits that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. But then, like it's saying here, but his followers do not accept Krishna as such. So that was his basic teaching of Shankaracharya, that God is formless. God has no form, it's just an all-pervading energy. He doesn't think that himself, but anyway, that was his teaching, because he was told to teach like that. He was told to teach the atheistic people of Kali Yuga that philosophy. So he did that job very well. But that's part of, God has a long-term plan, to bring us back to Godhead, and he can't do it straight away, isn't it? Like even us, right? We're not really ready to fully surrender in 2 seconds, are we? It's taking us weeks and months and years and decades.
It takes a lifetimes, many lifetimes.
Yeah, so intelligent devotees, they slowly bring us in, slowly bring us step by step by step by step by step. So it's a bit of an evolution. It can take time, So Krishna has this long-term plan, he's bringing people from the completely animalistic, savage people just slaughtering animals, wholesale slaughter, to, slowly developing them to be a good person, then to understand spirituality, then to understand that God is person, that more. So, but saying here, hardly one knows me in truth, so it's not easy. It's not easy. That's what it's saying. So that's what this verse is telling us. It's not easy to know Krishna fully, to know Krishna fully in truth. It's not easy. It's very rare. It's not a cheap thing. Not a cheap thing. We can realize Krishna, and like I've said many times, knowing Krishna which was ordinarily very, very rare, has been made more accessible because of the appearance of who? Vijayati said Prabhupada. But before Prabhupada?
It's all
Guru
the
Parampara. Specifically
Guru
one personality in the Guru Parampara.
Chaitanya
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauranga.
Gauranga Prabhu, yes.
He has made something which is very rare to achieve, Krishna Prem, love for God. He's freely distributed. That's why he said he's the most munificent incarnation. There's one verse, it's in the prayers the standard prayers we say to offer the bhoga in the process of prasadam, making prasadam to offer the bhoga. Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gotwase Namaha. So what is that saying, Jayanti?
saying that he's the most.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Finally, you've joined us.
Huh?
Finally, you've joined us.
She's usually roaming around the background.
Yeah, I'm usually around.
Creating trouble
You
by.
can see Vajra outside.
Prabhuji, she's your feminine energy.
So I bow down to
Ave Prabhu.
no.
She never does that. Don't say that.
Govinda.
Because in our Shastra Praman, Pati Parameshwar, but the wife doesn't do anything, just look after the husband, she'll go to Bhagavad. Guaranteed.
Yeah, so that verse is saying
So I bow
that
down to
that we offer respect to the most
munificent.
means magnanimous, glorious, greatest incarnation of the Lord Chaitanya. Why is he the most magnificent? Because he freely distributed love for Krishna. He freely gave love for Krishna without any conditions,
Unconditional, yeah.
qualifications required. You don't need any big qualifications, no conditions. He's just giving it out. It's Lord Chaitanya is compared to a king who's got intoxicated. And in an intoxicated state, he's gone into his own treasury house and picked up all his priceless treasures and gone out into the street. And whoever he sees, he's just handing them treasures. Here, take this treasure. Here, take that treasure. Like that. So Lord Chaitanya is Krishna in the mood of Radharani, you know, back to Radharani again, the greatest of the devotees. You know, so kind, you know, so kind, so merciful. One time Prabhupada went to a temple where there was Gaur Nitai being worshipped, and he started a lecture, and it lasted about 2 minutes, because as soon as he started talking about Lord Chaitanya, he just went into ecstasy and he started crying and couldn't talk anymore. He said, Lord Chaitanya is just so kind, and then tears just came out of his eyes and his voice choked up and he couldn't speak anymore. And then he just said, chant Hare Krishna. But yeah, he's so kind, you know, he's just freely giving love for Krishna. And how did that manifest? What's the actualization, you know, manifestation of, what does it mean to freely give love for Krishna? How does that manifest? Jayanti said the holy name. You know, just by chanting the holy name, just by chanting, giving everyone the holy name, giving everyone Hare Krishna. It said Lord Chaitanya instructed his devotees like Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur. He told them how to preach. Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna, Shika, Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Pranadan. He said, Bolo Krishna, you tell people, chant Hare Krishna. Bolo Krishna, Bolo, like we say, Hari Bol. And the other day, some of our neighbors said, what does that mean, Hari Bol? So Bol means to chant, you know, to chant Hari's names, to chant the Lord's names. So Bolo Krishna, chant Hare Krishna, and Bhaja Krishna, worship Krishna. Koro Krishna Shiksha. You follow Krishna's instructions. Follow Krishna's instructions. Where are Krishna's instructions?
It's in Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, in the Bhagavad Gita. So follow the Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna is your mother, Krishna Mata. Krishna Pita. Krishna is your father. Krishna Prema Dan. Krishna is the Krishna Pita, Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Pranadan. Yeah, Krishna is the treasure of your life. Prana means life, and Dan means the wealth. Dan means the wealth or the treasure. He's the treasure of their life. So this is how Lord Chaitanya and his associates would spread Krishna consciousness. Just whoever they meet. Yare Deka Tare Kaha Krishna Upadesh Amaragna Guru Hana Tare Desh. Whoever you meet, wherever you're going, just instruct people about Krishna's instructions. In this way, become a guru and deliver everyone in the land. This was Lord Chaitanya's instruction to one man that he met. He told him, you know, what he should do. He said, whoever you meet, wherever you go, just tell that person Krishna's instructions from the Bhagavad Gita. And this way you become a guru and deliver everyone in the land. Krishna conscious. Like that. So that's the process Lord Chaitanya is giving. So joyful process. Just chanting and dancing and feasting. Anyone heard of that before? If you haven't heard of that, you're not a Hare Krishna.
Definitely.
Prabhupada said that's all we do. One time he said that's all we do. Chanting, dancing, and feasting. 3 things. Chanting, dancing, and feasting. You know that mantra? Chanting, dancing, feasting. And then devotees said, but Prabhupada, we have to do management. Prabhupada said, no. Chanting, dancing, and feasting. And we have to collect money. No. Chanting, dancing, and feasting. We have to clean the temple. No, chanting, dancing, and feasting. So Prabhupada's point was, whatever a devotee does, whether it's gardening in my case, or running a restaurant in Gulshan's case, or
Bhakti Mala baking,
looking at baking and looking after Simha and all the things like that, then whatever a devotee is doing, what is he thinking about? He or she thinking about is thinking about chanting. With the devotees, thinking about chanting with the devotees and dancing with the devotees and taking prasadam with the devotees. That's what a devotee's, just like when Gulshan's dreaming, he's thinking about giving prasadam to the devotees.
I did not understand where this dream coming from.
That's even in dreaming, you're just thinking about feasting, preparing prasadam and distributing it. But you got to give it to Krishna before you give it to the cows.
That's right. But the cow may be from Krishna as well. I'm just confused.
Yeah, so that's what happens. If these things are in our mind during the day, then they'll also be in our mind during the night and comes out in the form of dreams in the night. And that'll happen, if our whole day, our mind is always thinking about distributing prasadam and chanting. Like I know, I've slept when we were brahmacharis, sleep in the same room with other brahmacharis on the floor. And it's quite common. You wake up in the night, you have to go to the toilet or whatever, and some brahmachari in the room, they're asleep in their sleeping bag, and they're going Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. So if you chant during the day, there's a good chance it'll come out in the nighttime. So that's what Prabhupada's point is. All we do is chanting, dancing, feasting. So that's what's in our heart. That's what we want to do. That's where we want to be. Just ecstatic life that Lord Chaitanya has given us, chanting, dancing, feasting. Externally, of course, we have to, raise some money to pay the bills, and we'll do some work or whatever like that.
Everything will come internally. In place. Once you do chanting, everything will become in place. Not to worry.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So externally, so many things are going on, but internally, that's what really the difference is between a devotee and a non-devotee. Sometimes you'll see that, the non-devotee is working in a factory and a devotee is working in a factory, or a non-devotee is working in the garden and a devotee is working in the garden. So externally, it looks exactly the same, but where's the difference?
The devotee must be while chanting and happy and then doing whatever he's doing.
Yeah, internally, there's the devotees thinking about Krishna, and the non-devotees thinking about, and pleasing themselves, like that. So that's the difference there. So yeah, we have another few minutes. So yeah, Bhakti Mala was going to start reading, right? And then we were talking about Shankaracharya. So you can read that. Krishna is the Supreme Personality.
The cause of all causes, the primeval Lord Govinda. It is very difficult for the non-devotees to know him. Though non-devotees declare that the path of bhakti or devotional service is very easy, they cannot practice it. The path of bhakti is so easy as the non-devotee class of men proclaim, then why do they take up the difficult path? Actually, the path of bhakti is not easy. So-called path of bhakti practiced by unauthorized persons without knowledge of bhakti may be easy, but when it is practiced factually according to the rules and regulations, speculative scholars and philosophers fall away from the path. Srila Rupa Goswami writes in his Bhakti Rasamrita, devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, the Puranas, and Narada and unnecessary disturbance.
So what is it? It is very easy in the sense that chanting, dancing, and feasting, and but yeah, like Prabhupada's saying here, other people looking outside saying, it's such an easy, it's just too easy. But they, like Prabhupada saying, well, they're saying it's easy, but why can't they do it? Why can't they chant Hare Krishna? They're saying chanting Hare Krishna is easy, but why they can't do it? But the thing is, that's what's not easy about our life.
The difference is that their center of attention is not Krishna. That's why it's not easy for them. Those who have in center of attention of Krishna, easy for them.
It also requires sacrifice too, as well.
Yeah, you like we were saying about the gopis. They sacrificed everything for Krishna. They sacrificed all their, because we're so attached to satisfying our senses. You try giving that up. It's not easy. Like we're giving up. What are we giving up? Meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, gambling. One time before Prabhupada came to the West, one of his godbrothers was sent by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati to London, to England, and one Lord Zetland was attracted to Krishna consciousness, and he asked the devotee, can you make me a brahmana? And the devotee said, yeah, sure, no problem. And all you have to do is give up meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling. And what did Lord Zetland say to that? He said, impossible.
But it's interesting here.
So,
Prabhupada's saying, right, that it's not easy.
Yeah.
And he also said, what's the difficulty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
What's the difficulty? I mean, and like I'm saying, it actually is really easy. But where's the difficulty is in our mind. Physically, there's no difficulty. Chanting, dancing, and feasting, there's nothing difficult. But the difficulty is that we're so rebellious, that we're so envious of Krishna, that the soul has become so envious of Krishna and wants to be Krishna. And we're so rebellious. And we just like the cartoon that Prabhupada quoted, where the wife says to the husband, chant, chant, chant. And the husband says, can't. We're just so stubborn. Like Prabhupada said, it's as hard to get someone to be Krishna conscious in Kali Yuga as it is to give medicine to a horse. It takes 6 people, one to hold each leg, one to hold the mouth open, the other one to push the medicine in.
I think it's not only the mind. It's like which society you live in. People doesn't want to give up the society, the friends and all that. They're all in the society for, let's go in a Friday night to be drinking and all that. You have to give up all that.
Yeah.
That's the difficulty. People doesn't want to give it all up that.
Yeah.
Because I give up all because all my friends there, they go Friday night. No, it's okay. I'm not going. They call me a few times. I said, I'm done. So they're not calling me anymore. They're not my friends anymore because the people are scared you might leave it. You left alone. That's the scary part. But if you got association with the Krishna consciousness, it's not alone.
There's a verse by Rupa Goswami saying that don't go to the bank of the Yamuna, because if you do, you might see a beautiful blue boy playing a flute, and then you'll never be the same again. You'll give up, all your material friendship, all your material society, and all your material love. It'll all be gone. It'll be taken away. So don't go there. So he's saying it in an unusual way, but we should go to the Yamuna. But that's what happens, is that all of the old attachments and that, they all just get taken away. We get attracted to Krishna, get the higher taste, and we give up the lower taste. So, but yeah, a lot of people struggle with that, that we've, for many millions of lifetimes, we've been so addicted to sense gratification, and now we're taking up a path where that's all been given up. So in one sense, it's very difficult because of that very long association we've had with material desires. But that very difficult thing can become very easy if we've got the higher taste. So that's what's important, that we should spend, a good part of our time chanting, dancing, and feasting, and, reading Prabhupada's books, hearing these things. And
the association with the devotee.
Yeah, associating with devotees, and that will give us the strength and the enthusiasm and the happiness and everything to be able to overcome all these material desires and attachments and everything like that. So we've just reached our time, but how about we just finish this last, it's only one more paragraph. Gulshan, you want to read through
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
We'll just finish.
Devotional service of Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literature like Upanishad, Purana, and Narada Panchkatra is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. It is not possible for Brahmana realized impersonalist or the Paramatma realized yogi to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the son of Mother Yashoda or the chariot of Arjuna. Even the greater demigods are sometimes confused about Krishna.
Those.
Mahuyanti yat surya mam tu vedana krishkana. No one knows me as I am, the Lord says, and if one does know me, the sat sa mahatmasu durlabha. Such a great soul is very rare. Durlabha is very rare. Therefore, unless one practices devotional service in the Lord to the Lord, one cannot know Krishna as he is. Tattva, tattvata. Even though one is a great scholar or philosopher, only the pure devotee can know something of the inconceivable transcendental quality in Krishna. He begins the cause of all cause. He omnipotence and opulence, and his wealth, fame, strength, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, because Krishna is benevolent tree, inclined to his devotee. He is the last word in the Brahman realization, and the devotee alone can realize him as he is. Therefore, it is said, no one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material senses, but he reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. Bhakti Rasmarita Sindhu 1.22234.
Hmm.
So, same thing.
So yeah, it seems like it's very rare to know Krishna, but how is it made possible? That all we do, it's very simple, very simple. We just try to please Krishna by devotional service. And when Krishna is pleased by our devotional service,
Then
then what happens?
and he will give intelligence to understand him.
He'll give you the knowledge.
Yes.
He'll give you the realization like that. So that it's said, even there's many examples, even like some lady, she would go down to the river and get a bucket of, take a bath and bring a bucket of water and give it to the pujaris to use for bathing the deity, and she became fully Krishna conscious. Just a simple woman, just by bringing a bucket of water and giving it to the pujari, the priest, to use for bathing Krishna. And Krishna was obviously pleased, and she became fully self-realized, God-realized, just by carrying a bucket of water. So you just do any kind of activities that are pleasing to Krishna, and then you can become the most enlightened, most highly knowledgeable, greatest philosopher ever, just by doing some simple service. The main criteria is it should be some activity that pleases Krishna, some kind of devotion.
And service will be unconditional.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she was carrying that bucket of water through hail, rain, shine, thunder, lightning, like that, and Krishna's pleased by that, you're always there, doing the service, that you don't give up, and like that, you're trying your best, Krishna becomes pleased and gives you the knowledge in your heart.
Like in the temple, they get up 4:30 in the morning, no matter rain, hail, shine, cold weather, whatever's there. Mangalarti 4:30. That is very good, unconditional.
Very nice. Well, that was good, Gulshan. That was wonderful.
Very
And now we look forward to next week where Bhakti Mala is going to enlighten us.
Next week I can't guarantee because I'll be in India. If I try to be
No, that's okay.
tune in,
I don't worry about it. Yeah, yeah. No, you focus on your time in India. No need
no,
to.
still I'll be on every Thursday. I'll try to get the time difference to see, and if I've got an internet
Well, it
available.
might be like 1 o'clock in the morning or something.
No,
No,
no.
it's a 4.5 hour behind, so it'll be like a 10:30, 11 in the morning.
Oh, okay, okay. Whatever works. Anyway.
Yeah, and then I should have to have an internet as well if I'm on the train or something, and different story. But I'll try.
No,
If I,
definitely make the most of your time there, and yeah,
oh,
wish
Hey,
you
definitely.
all the best for your trip.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you. I might not come back if I go to Puri. You know, once go to Puri, that is, I'm done. This is the thing. I maybe just, see you later.
well. If you decide to go swimming and you can't swim, that might be true.
Right? That's
You might
even
be
if
out in
it's
the middle
swimming
of
or
the Indian Ocean. Yeah.
whichever way. I'm not a body anyway. That's all right. But I definitely will go to Puri and then surrender with my hands up. I'm done. And then maybe Jagannath will say, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Come here to the kitchen
Yeah.
and do
Watch
some
out
service.
there, all the crowd will come and they'll push you like that and take you. That's it.
That's okay. I love that crowd. Whoever pushed me, I love it.
Mm.
Even anyone from Puri, they're not ordinary people. If they push you, you're the luckiest person on the planet.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Mm.
It's even Brajvasi. If they rob you, you're lucky. You're robbed by Brajvasi. It's a nectar. You be very lucky even if you're robbed by Brajvasi, because
Especially
Brajvasi
a
is not normal.
monkey.
Huh?
Yeah.
Especially the monkey.
Monkey, yeah, they're not Brajvasi, even monkey, birds and all, they're not normal. They're all great sage. They're born in Vrindavan in either bird or a monkey or anything there. They're not normal.
But it said the main way you connect with Jagannath is through the prasad, the Jagannath prasad.
That's it.
And
Prashadam
Lord
is
Chaitanya and Mayapur, Lord Chaitanya, the main way is through kirtan.
yeah.
It's the kirtan in Mayapur.
Yeah.
And with Krishna and Vrindavan, it's through the deity worship.
Yeah.
Just see the beautiful deity worship there. Take part in the artis and the
And
kirtan.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Mayapur.
Yeah, and that's kirtan there, and take nice Jagannath prasadam, transcendental Jagannath prasadam.
I booked my parikarma in Mayapur for 6 days. But Navadip parikarma. So for 6
great,
days there.
wonderful,
Yeah, so
wonderful,
paid
wonderful.
for it. So I start from 27th till
Yes.
2nd of November.
Wow,
So
that's great.
6 in the morning and come
Great.
back 2 o'clock. So it's actually Mahasevak's daughters there. And I just give it the money to Mahasevak, and then they say, okay. And he told the daughter to book it name Gulshan. He's coming in there too. So a lot of people do. And I do parikarma with Chitrupa in Puri, when he's gonna be there 11.
Wow,
11.
wonderful.
Yeah, so
That's great.
all that there. So and then in Vrindavan, it's gonna be Devhari would be there.
Yep.
So and Chitrupa will be there too. So the
Oh, nice.
parikarma and all.
Wow, very good. Lovely.
And I'll go to with family to Akashi Vishwanath as well.
Yep.
And if I go to Balaji further than that, we'll see.
Yeah, take one step at a time. See what.
Yeah, I'll come back in 2
Sweet.
months. It's no rush. Maybe 1.5 or 2 months. Whenever come back. Unless Bhakti Mala, you look after the Bhakti tree.
Oh, I'm not taking over your position.
Well, somebody will. Either you and Brett and what's that, Titiana. You step up and took responsibility, Bhakti Mala. Yeah, it's about the time.
I don't have the same energy as you, Gulshan.
This is not my energy. This is
Okay,
Jagannath energy. You look at Jagannath, he'll give you energy, guarantee.
I'll pray. I will pray.
You just look at it. Just a glance, mere glance will give you energy. Praying comes after. Look at his eyes. That's it. Yeah. It's done, man. I'm so easy. Who says it's so difficult? So easy. Just chant Hare Krishna. Simple.
Anyway, you have a lovely time there, Gulshan.
Thank you very much.
Safe
Hare
travels.
Krishna.
Okay.
And Bhakti Mala, you can stop the recording now.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.